here today, but I'm here by myself. But I have a great um, individual in the studio with me. His name is Alan. He's a realtor and he's also a loan officer. So we're here to talk about, is it a good time to take that leap and purchase a home? Is it the right time? Is it not? So we're gonna hear from him, and he's gonna let us know, if we should get that home or not. So, Mr. Allen,
Yes. Hi.
welcome.
Thanks for having me, BJ.
How's everything?
Everything's good. No, everything's good. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Of
I
course.
affectionately go by Allan the Lender.
Allen the Lender.
Yes, primarily a lender. So I do want to help just give back. If
That's
there's a way that
good.
I can give you some information or anyone, spark that interest, I would love to do that.
So before we start getting into the nitty gritty, right? So
Mhm.
tell the people who you are and how long you've been, a realtor or you've been lending.
Oh, professionally, I've been in the financial world for over 15 years. I've
Mm.
been a realtor on and off, but the last stint, I would say, last 7 years, I've been a realtor.
Okay.
Very involved. I am on the board of governors for the Miami Association of Realtors.
Okay.
I advocate in Tallahassee. Obviously, I just, I've just been this is what I do full time.
That's
I
it.
was
That's
like,
right.
this is
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's a privilege to have you.
Mhm.
We got to get now to the hard questions.
Oh, no.
The hard questions.
Yes, sir.
Just not too
Okay.
hard. I mean, that's what you do, so it should be very easy for you.
We'll see.
For me, it's always I find it very when people talk about real estate, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, real estate. There's just so much that comes with buying a home, right? Which
Very
you need
much
to
so.
know.
Very much so.
So let's say I want to buy a home.
Mhm.
What's the first thing you would tell me to do?
If you were buying a home, the first thing I would tell you to do, but I'll tell you what the first thing that usually happens
Hmm.
is you get in contact with an agent, a real
Right.
estate agent.
Okay.
That's typically the first part. As a lender, I find that most agents are the ones that are contacting lenders saying, "Hey, I found a friend,
Right.
I found a buyer." But you would contact an agent because that's the person that's going to help you to, get access to certain properties
Right.
that
Right.
you may not normally get access to.
Right.
Um, but that would be the first step. I wouldn't overcomplicate the answer, but
Okay.
I would definitely say get in contact with an agent. Or you know what, I'll add to that. A lot of the times you're going to search online and you're going to find the desire of a home that you want to purchase. You don't necessarily need one, but I would always recommend using an agent because we'll talk about it. I'm sure we're going to get into it, some of the pitfalls and things that you'll
Right.
find.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is it true if I'm buying a home? I mean, of course, let's say I have a certain location that I want to purchase my home in, right?
Okay.
And would you recommend me somewhere else?
The answer to that, and I hope some of you may have some agents watching. I hope they're listening. Um, that's that's not a thing that we recommend homes.
Hmm.
We don't necessarily recommend
Location.
areas
Okay.
or locations. You
Okay.
can tell me the locations that you desire,
Right.
and I'll try to find you the best home in the locations that fit you and your family's needs.
Okay.
But I'm not necessarily going to give you a recommendation. This is a bad neighborhood.
Right.
This is a good neighborhood. That's not in the purview. Listen, realtors, that's not in the purview of what agents are supposed to do.
Mm.
It's almost like steering,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah,
Right.
or red light. You don't
Hmm.
you don't want to do
You
that.
don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
and that because my interpretation of a good neighborhood may not be yours. So
Correct.
you don't necessarily want to
Right.
give that bias to a client or preclude them from getting into an area that they normally would have.
Right.
Because if you're going to take my recommendation as the professional, right,
Right.
and you want to live in, nice neighborhood A,
Right.
and I say, no, 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 that's not a good neighborhood, and you take my recommendation, I steered you
I
away from
hear what
something
you're
that you would
saying.
have
Right. Right.
normally, or the
But
schools that you would have wanted.
do real estate agent do that?
That's why I asked you to listen because yes, typically that's something that people do, and sometimes unconsciously. It's not
Right. Right. Right.
necessarily
Right.
malicious at all times. It
Hmm.
was at one point,
Right.
um, but it's just people have their biases, and you got to be careful. We have a fiduciary responsibility as agents
But
to make sure that we're doing the best interest for you.
okay.
And sometimes my bias can cloud that. So you got to be careful. It's always what BJ needs. If you need that and it works for your family, you need a 4 or 5 bedroom. I like to be in this area because this school, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not recommending the schools, but you can, we do the research, we'll do
Right,
the
right,
data,
right.
we'll say, hey, yeah, they have A-rated schools, but that's factual. That's not
Mhm.
something that I can manipulate or my bias
Mm.
helps.
Okay.
So that's kind of why.
So do I need to do my research first of that area, not the particular home itself, but the area?
I would
Because
always recommend that. Yes,
okay.
I would do my research. What I do recommend for clients to do when they ask that question
Uh-huh.
is take your own tour around the neighborhood, but you're
Okay.
going to do it twice.
Twice. Why
You're going to
twice?
go in the morning,
Oh,
you're going
okay.
to take a drive around, and then
Okay.
you're also going to drive around the neighborhood at night.
I didn't know that.
You can also do on the weekends. So you got to take different times to get a feel for the neighborhood at the
Mm.
times that it is. So that's always
That's
a
nice.
little
That's
tip.
good.
When people ask that very question,
Right.
that's my answer.
Oh,
I'm gonna
that's
say,
good.
hey,
That's good. That's good.
take a trip around the neighborhood and see what you like. Find
Right.
your local Publix, find your local whatever, store that you like,
Right.
and get a feel. That's the best way.
Mm.
And then you'll know for sure. That's when you're convicted. Kind of like we may get into that too.
Right.
But when you find the home,
Mm-hmm.
when you know it's it, you're
Right.
like, this is the one.
This is it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's kind of thing. You get the feel for the neighborhood and you just know.
That's good.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing because, looking for a home, I would go during the day or
Mhm.
maybe open house, but I didn't know to go at nighttime.
You have to go at different times. Have to. You need to see how busy the neighborhood is. You want to know
Hmm.
when your neighbors are home.
Oh,
You want to get a feel for
right, right, right.
what's happening. And now,
Okay.
mind you, it's going to be your opinion
Okay.
of what you see.
Mm.
And if it's going to be that,
Yeah.
you're going to be good.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked the question earlier, you guys suggest, not this neighborhood, right? So I wouldn't suggest you go here. I rather you look elsewhere. Reason why I'm saying that is, you would be on the client's best interest, right? So let's say they didn't do their due diligence as far as checking on the schools. The schools are not, great in the area, or maybe as far as the amenities that they're supposed to have, like the Publix, the Walmarts in the community, because people just want a home, and sometimes they don't do too much of a research, and
That's
that's
true.
the
I
reason
mean,
why I said that.
it may be, I get it, but still, it's a very fine line,
Mhm.
legal wise,
Mhm.
for us to do that. But I would also tell, if I'm a good realtor, I'm going to recommend that you check those things.
Okay.
I'm not gonna recommend the area once again. I'm gonna recommend that, say, what's your favorite store? And I
Right.
know you like to work out.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna say, oh, these are the things that you want to ask. I'm doing my questionnaire. If I'm
Right.
really gonna know my buyer, if I have
Hmm.
a fiduciary responsibility,
Right.
when you're
Right.
buying a home, it's about the whole package, right?
You're right. You're right.
Does the community have a gym?
You're right.
Is
That's
your
correct.
nearest
Yeah.
gym nearby?
Yep. Yep.
And that's when I'm going to go into my research and say,
Right.
hey, I found a couple of gyms that are
Right.
nearby. It may not be the one that you attend,
Right. Right.
but I
Right.
have a couple, and will that work for you? Or
Yes.
are you
Yes.
dead set on that area? I'm going to
It
try
makes
to look for
sense.
those
Makes
things that
sense.
make
Yeah.
your life
Makes sense.
easier.
Makes sense. So if I'm looking for a home and I see the home, is it my responsibility to know um the age of the home, if the home, let's say, um if anything's wrong with the home? Because I would know as a buyer, I'm buying a home. I see a home that I like.
Yes.
But let's just say, there's a lien on that home. Now, I may be able to find out, but most people don't know that.
Hmm.
You understand? Maybe they don't think of these things.
No, absolutely not. They don't think of these. They don't think of these
So
things.
what do you look for if the person say, I'm interested in this home. This is a home that I want.
That's an all-encompassing question. Now, you see how you're talking about the home?
Right.
That's where I come in,
Okay.
because my job is to have the data for the home.
Okay.
Mind you, most of it is public record.
Hmm.
Most of it shows up on most of the public websites that
Right.
most people see, but you scroll right past it because you're looking at the pictures.
Right.
You're
Right.
envisioning yourself in the home. You
It's
want
the
to see the
first time
home.
the first thing that comes to mind when you
Exactly.
see a home.
Look,
I mean, it's the pictures.
look,
Oh, the
BJ.
inside look good.
Exactly.
The neighborhood looks good. But
Now, I'm not a realtor. Same thing I do with a car. I'm not an expert in mechanic in fixing cars and knowing what the best thing is. But when I see the car, I'm like, man, it's a really nice car.
right,
I would
right,
like it. I go to a dealer, and the dealer's like, man, it's got this, it's got that. You might want this. It's got the sunroof, the moonroof,
right,
all those type of
right.
things that you may
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
That's where I come in. But
I got you. I got you.
we typically give you comparative market analysis on properties that are in the area.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously pull data reports when we're
Right.
showing you the properties. A lot of
Okay.
times when I go show property, I'll have the list. Obviously, you're going to go do a tour
Okay.
of a couple of different
Right,
properties.
right.
You have the data
Mm-hmm.
for some of those properties because it's to be prepared for the questions that you guys may have.
Right.
How old is the house, or
Right.
the things that you don't see. Right.
Right,
You're
right.
going to
Correct.
say
Yeah, yeah.
main concerns these days, especially with insurance and those things. Um, that are going up are, is the roof good? How old is the
Right,
roof?
right.
The plumbing. When was the electricity done, or the electric done? Is it using old wires? Because if it's done before a certain amount of
Years.
years,
Right.
you're looking at, totally outdated wiring.
Correct,
So that
correct.
may be. We actually just had a deal
Right.
that fell through because it had cloth wiring.
Oh
Cloth wiring
wow.
should not be running through the walls.
Oh
It
wow.
was a property in Hollywood. So you
Oh.
got to know the areas and know the things that may happen in
Right.
those areas. But we're always looking at that
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking about agents.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys walk through a house, we're always looking at, or at least the good agents, I'm looking at the ugly. You guys are looking at the beautiful. I'm looking up. I'm like, oh, is there a crack?
Right.
I'm looking at foundations. I'm
Yeah.
going around. I'm checking the date on the AC. I'm checking all the little things
Gotcha.
that you guys are not really looking for,
Right, right, right.
and what most people, I guess, take for granted when it comes for realtors, is at least experienced ones.
Right,
If you've
right.
been doing it for a long time, you've seen some things that
Mm.
you may know. You can see a wall that's not necessarily, you know,
Up
a
to
fixed,
par
yeah,
or
up to
right,
par or
right,
fixed properly.
right.
And those are the things that I would start to bring to your attention. Those
Okay.
things I can, because it's my job, my fiduciary duty
Right.
to let you know. And if you still want to buy it after that,
Mm-hmm.
by all means, we
That's
have a
what I
good
was
deal.
about to say. Do you
Yes.
ever have a client that says, "Well, I know you said this, but I really want this home. I'm so sorry,"
Yeah. That's,
and and
let's
disregard
have a
your advice
contract.
and just go for it.
Yes, as a matter of fact, here's my iPad. Let's sign the contract. That's good. Because mind you, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Right, right,
That's where it's like it's my job to steer you and guide you the best way possible.
right,
I may be able to provide you maybe some references to contractors if you're going to
right,
have
right, right.
bids, like what will this
Gotcha.
house ultimately cost me.
Right,
Those are the things that it's added value
right,
that we
right.
want to provide for our
Yeah.
agents. So that's the type of thing that I would do.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, maybe you're a handyman, right?
Right,
That's
right,
something
right,
I would
right,
learn
right.
in my discovery. And
Mm.
you're like, oh no, I'm knocking that wall out,
Right,
or
right,
I'm doing, I can fix plumbing, I can
right,
take care of that,
right.
and you're finding yourself a gem. Those are the best ways to really
Gotcha.
find property.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good to know. So, I know that nowadays, uh, because the way the market is,
Mhm.
the market is congested. There's tons of homes available,
Yes.
a lot of homes, and you usually hear people say it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market.
Yes.
When is it which?
Oh, okay.
I
Um,
mean, what is it? Is it always a buyer's market or is it always a seller's market? Because I think people just say it just to say it to just draw
no,
in.
it's a supply and demand thing. So if you have less of something,
Hmm.
right? So if there's, we typically consider less than 3 months of inventory,
Okay.
and it's location based because real estate is very localized. I
Right.
know we talk about it on a national level.
Yeah.
You'll see, CNBC or
Right. Right.
maybe
Right.
not calling out any stations, but
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
see other stations
Yeah.
talk about, real estate is up, 50%
Right.
or, a bunch of properties, but a region
Mm-hmm.
like South Florida,
Right.
which I'm going to talk about because that's where I'm,
Mm-hmm.
the expert, that's where we live.
Right.
A region can have a booming real estate market.
Okay.
Like we have properties over $1 million that are actually selling fast. There's no time on the
Mm.
market for properties, and a lot of those are selling cash. We have a lot of cash buyers in
Okay.
and over $1 million.
Okay.
So that, bringing it back to the point of seller and buyer's market. So there's a buyer's market, or you would consider maybe even just a free market in the $1 million plus range,
Mm.
because sellers are selling and it's not sitting on the market. So it's kind of like a
Right.
seller's market. I haven't necessarily seen any outbidding.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you consider a seller's market. If I have one home
Mm-hmm.
and 10 people want that home, it's a seller's market because
Right.
I have the market
Mm-hmm.
because I have one house
Right.
and I have 10 people who want it. They got to now come up
Gotcha.
and fight for that. That's how you
Gotcha.
consider a seller's market.
Okay.
So that's why we say when inventory is low,
Mm-hmm.
it's necessarily a seller's market because we really want homes. They're
Right.
for all different reasons, right?
Okay.
Change of family size, job change, this, that, or the other. There's always a reason to move. You got a great opportunity and you're going to be president of certain corporation, but it
Right.
requires
Right.
you to move. So there's a
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
And mind you, you're selling somewhere else
Right. To
to buy
buy.
somewhere else. So that kind of
Right.
makes the market.
Yeah.
But when there's less inventory,
Mm-hmm.
it's a seller's market because they get to now dictate. That's what was happening during COVID. There was
Right.
way more
A
demand
lot. Right.
than homes that were for sale.
Right. Right.
So people were paying 50, 100,
Yeah.
$150,000
More
more
over.
just to win the bid, and
Right.
rates were low.
Right.
So you got to consider that there's always a dynamic. So buyer's market, or typically a normalized market, is 6, 8 months of
Mm-hmm.
inventory
Okay.
where you can figure things are moving as normal. Or the buyers, like now, when there's more inventory, that means people are like, I don't really want to, buy right now.
Right.
So sellers will start to, and even builders
Mm-hmm.
will start to incentivize you to come
To
out.
just
That's
come
that's
out
when the deals
and
and the
purchase.
sales come
Right.
in.
Right.
So when you see these new construction companies and they're like,
Right.
hey, we'll give you X amount of
Right. Right.
dollars
Right.
and we'll play your
No
closing
down
costs, and
payments. Closing
they
costs.
have
Right.
to unload because
Right.
they're now paying the bill and their job is to build. And if I'm a
Right. Right.
builder
Right. Right.
and I'm not building, I'm sitting on property, that's not
Right.
good.
That's not good. Right.
So that's kind of where you want to make sure
Right.
that the so it's typically a range for
Yeah.
as a rule of thumb,
Uh-huh.
but different factors do play in.
Okay.
Mortgage interest rates, the economy, things that are going on that are exterior to that. But for the base knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
less than 3 months of inventory. If you ask your agent, hey, what's out there, or you can see it online. This is
Right.
data
Right.
that's
Right.
free
Right.
to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd be able to
So
determine that.
would you say now is a buyer's market
I would say now is still more of a buyer's market. And mind you, under a certain price point, under $1 million, I would say yes,
under
it
a
is
million dollars?
under $1 million on price. So you can get specific with it. And I tend to do that because it makes more sense for the buyers that you're working with. You got to think of
Right.
it
Right.
that way.
Gotcha.
But I think it is a buyer's market because sellers are willing. Well, I know sellers are more willing in the last couple of years, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a buyer's market because if you can buy with these elevated rates,
Right.
you're typically, and mind you, sellers have been sitting, if properties are, I think average inventory is maybe 60, 70 days
Right.
sitting
Right.
on the
Mm-hmm.
market. So
Right.
if I'm
Right.
sitting on the market, I'm more apt to say,
Mm.
yeah, I'll give you a concession
Right.
to help you to purchase this home because I don't, I got to move.
Right. Right. So do you believe it's because of the economy, why everyone is selling now?
No, I think it's really because of needs. Nobody's
Because of
selling for
needs.
the,
When
yeah,
you said needs, what does that mean?
your 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 needs and wants. Like I said, if it's just any life event, like if I'm a young family, I just got married, for example. I've
Hmm.
been married, many years. But if my family's expanding and I'd like to have more space, I need
Right,
more
right.
space in my
Something,
home,
you want
or
something a little
I'm now
larger, right?
working remotely and I would love to either a home that has an additional office space.
Right.
It could be a number of things. Um, Unfortunately, family separations. If
Mhm.
you're separating, there's a need to sell. So
Gotcha.
there's a lot of different reasons why you would sell, and these are, that it just creates a market.
Yeah, there's just so many homes available right now. So many homes on the market. But the problem that I find is that they're just so expensive.
They are, well, ergo the demand. This is where you have a there's a dichotomy in the market where there are a lot of um properties available, but it's skewed. You can't put I don't lump them all in the same group.
Yeah, you can't. You
Yes,
can't do that
because there
because
is there is a
you talk
condo
about
market
right,
and there's a townhome market and there's
right,
a single
right,
family home
mhm,
market.
right.
And in the single family homes, there's a lot less if you're talking about that are I would say they're available for sale, but there's a lot more of like the condo markets, which there's a whole story about what condos have that are just sitting and not being able to be sold.
I didn't
So
look at it that way.
no, that affects the numbers. That
Okay.
affects the numbers, and there's way more. And you have, obviously the 55 and older.
Right.
I'm not sure if that's something you want to talk
No,
about
no, we don't want to
now,
talk about
now
that.
or
Not
later. But
now.
the condo market, man, there's a lot to be that a lot has been happening. And maybe a precursor. There's a lot that's been being done by
Mm.
local advocacy groups in the way of real estate to help with what's going on with condos
It,
to open up that market, because you want to
gotcha.
open up, because first time home buyers
Right.
are typically the ones that would buy the entry level homes.
Mm.
And then you have what we call move up buyers.
Okay.
So those are the ones that are expanding. I got 3 kids now and I got 2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
So it's time to, move
Fix.
up.
Right.
It's time to get that move up space and have that other new family or that
Gotcha.
entry level
Come in.
family
Right.
take in. So that's typically what we've seen. Most people have been holding off on that because of what's happening in the market. So if you go back to that, rates were typically low for a very long time. So if
Mm.
I have my 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom home
Right.
that I paid 300,000 for,
Right.
it could be worth 600,000 today because I bought
Right.
it, during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But rates are 8%,
Right. 8%.
7%,
Yeah.
6%, right?
Yeah.
And over the last couple of years.
Right.
So if rates are 8 and I'm like, man, we really need to move, but I'm looking at that 8, 7, 6%
Mm-hmm.
rate,
Right. Do
I'm
I want to
holding
pay?
off. That's where I see it as pent up demand. So
Mm.
there's people who want to buy, and there's actually people who want to sell, but they can't, because what am I going to buy on the other end? I now have to
Right.
buy a
Right.
higher priced home
Right.
that meets my needs,
Right.
but it's also going to
With a bigger payment.
it's
You
going to be
know.
with a bigger payment, a bigger
Yeah.
interest rate. So it's
Right.
like, what does my budget really afford me?
Yeah.
So that's the hard part.
I, I I don't disagree with you, but I always, I just want to say this too. Is it also because HOAs
100%.
has something to do with it?
Yes.
Because if right now I'm purchasing a home, I would not want to be anywhere HOAs
I'm hearing that a lot. That's
because
actually
of what's going on, how they can be, your home can be taken away from you, the excess amount of fees, the different type of regulations and stuff like that.
you're
um
100% correct.
yeah, so I was just thinking maybe this may have something to do with it. It may not just be the condos, but single family homes also.
Yeah,
And
no,
yeah.
South Florida is full of associations. That's part of the condo thing that we've pushed for congressionally to try to make
Mhm.
changes.
Yeah.
You can see now in Dade County, we're making it to where you can have more of an informed decision up front. So there's a
Mm.
Condo Transparency Act that
Right.
was passed.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Condo Transparency Act in
Right.
Dade County, they have it like set, and we're trying to
Yeah.
get the other counties,
Right.
um, up to speed, we'll say.
Okay.
But Dade County has a public record of, now if you're an association, you now have to report your budget, your condo
They
minutes.
didn't have to do that
They didn't
before.
have to do that before,
Right.
and you will know up front. They're now required, the listing agent and the buyer's agent. Your buyer's agent should be asking for these documents up front when
Mm.
you're ready to contract. So in that due
Gotcha.
diligence period, when you go
Right.
under contract, you have time to review,
And
and you
el
get time to see and know what's going on with the condo, whether there's special assessments coming up, those type of things. Because buyers in the past,
right.
when you're talking about condo issues,
Yeah.
you purchase today, and 6 months from now, they're like, we need $10,000 from every unit.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not feasible.
Yeah. One of the things that they used to do is that they would just let's say me, they would come to my house and hit me with a fee, right?
Mhm.
Automatically.
Yeah.
And now they can't do that.
No, you can
You,
still
they,
get
they
hit with
can, but they
you're
would
still.
have to go to court.
What type of fee?
Um,
Like, you mean the assessments? If there's an assessment, you're in the association. When you purchase an association, you're in.
you end,
You want to
but
make sure they're solvent, though. That's why knowing the information up front
uh-huh,
helps, because if the budget
uh-huh.
says a certain thing and you guys know that you're financially solvent, they typically want to know that you have reserves for emergencies.
Okay.
If you're buying in an association that doesn't have a lot of reserves, which is
Uh-huh.
that extra cash
Extra
you
cash,
need,
right.
then hey, we got to pony up, because you now have purchased in this association. You're now a part of it, and
Right.
we need to keep this thing,
So so
financially
so
sound.
let's just say you owe the association $50,000 and they would try to seize your home. Right.
They
So
can
those are
foreclose.
excess, right.
Yeah.
But remember, before I'm not sure what it is. There's something that I read that says that, now they can't do that. If they're charging you a certain amount of money, whatever it is, they have to go to court, or they have to prove to the court why they're charging you that amount of money. I'm not sure where it is,
Yeah, I'm
but
not sure if
it's,
they go to court. Well, I'm sure everything ends up in court in our very
yeah,
litigious
yeah. But
society,
before
but
they didn't have to do that. They can just assess the fee.
they had free reign,
They
is what
had
you're saying?
right, they
To
had free
just
range. They can just assess the fee, but they can't just assess the fee now. They have to go to court, submit documents to the court and said, okay, we're charging that person, and they have time to respond.
you have to have time. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Well, that
So
that that part is necessary because I've
yeah,
seen HOAs that have foreclosed before, but they do try to collect
right.
over many months, and if they
Yeah.
can't collect,
Foreclose.
they're obviously gonna get an attorney and they're gonna
Right.
try to foreclose,
Right.
and or just get their be reimbursed the fees or the charges that they had.
Right.
So
Right.
absolutely, that does happen. But Florida definitely is or Miami has definitely got the blueprint of how the rest of the economy should do. Now, if
Mm.
you're talking about the just normal monthly maintenance fees
Yeah.
with HOAs,
Yeah.
I actually just had the situation yesterday where I was helping a client and they wanted to buy a condo, 55 and older.
Hmm.
And I was running the numbers for two separate units, and the one HOA was 822
A month.
a month. So
Wow.
822. So the mortgage payment was, $800-900. But if
Wow.
you add the HOA, now you're at $1,700 just with the
Wow.
HOA, and you still have taxes and the different things that are in there. That's the biggest hurdle
Wow.
I would say with condos is there's been so much neglect and so much deferred maintenance
Hmm.
is what I'll call it, because that's what it is. That's why you get the assessment.
Right.
When we kick the can down the road too long, at some
Yeah. You
point
give them too much leeway.
somebody's
Yeah.
got to pay the piper, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what's happening now.
Yeah.
So it's the cracks in the wall,
Yeah.
the foundations, the roofs.
Yeah.
There's a community in Pembroke Pines that actually they got rid of everyone, like on Pines Boulevard. I think
When you said they got rid of everyone, you mean on the HOA or
the
just
whole
the?
community, because of so much deferred maintenance, they had to condemn the whole
Wow.
project. It's there now, and there's builders and people making bids to try to either tear
Try
it
to
down
take
and
it over.
rebuild it
Okay.
because of deferred maintenance. So there's people still paying their mortgage on a property that that you've been condemned in. So it's very,
Wow.
very important to have, just a sound association that's really going to take care of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
community, which is why we had things like the Condo Transparency Act,
Right.
so we
Right.
can have more informed knowledge. I can help to safeguard you in
Okay.
those decisions.
Okay.
Those things I can help you
Yeah.
with, which makes sense.
Hmm. So you wouldn't recommend HOAs?
No,
Oh,
I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend HOAs. I actually live in an HOA,
okay.
but I would say you need to be cautious of the HOA that you're purchasing in,
Okay.
and you'll have that data, and we're going to request that data as agents
Mm.
for you to help you make that informed decision.
How far back can you go and request data from an HOA?
They should have data from.
No, but I'm just saying as a real estate agent, right? So how far back should I go?
I'm going to
And
say I don't necessarily know the time, but I know typically we'll ask for like the last years of
oh, last year. Okay.
meeting minutes, because the most recent won't always give you the information. If I'm going
Okay.
to go back, I'm going to ask for what happened, because usually that's when you're going to make your budgetary decisions,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right? You're
mm-hmm.
going to do
Right.
them a year in advance. We
Yeah.
have this or any issues you may have or litigation.
Yeah.
You'll typically catch it
Yeah.
if you're going to, look out about a year or so.
So one of the things that we, again, we're talking about, what to know when buying a home,
Yeah.
right? Is it the right time to buy a home? But some other things is that, let's just talk about zoning restrictions, right?
Ooh.
Because buying a home, there's so much that comes with it,
Hmm.
but we just want a home.
Yeah.
We just want a home. We sometimes don't know, or we just don't care to know what it entails. There's certain things you can do when you purchase a home, even if you don't live in a HOA community.
Yeah. No,
There's,
any home. I understand.
in any home. So what are the things, like, as far as zoning, that I should be looking for? Um,
Well, obviously
if I'm
obviously zone residential, because you're going to
yeah,
be living in the property.
right.
Um, it really is going to depend on your needs. Is
Well,
in
here's what I'm saying. Like, for example, right? So looking for homes, you have to make sure that it's not a flood zone.
Yeah, no, we'll find that info. Yeah.
Is the area prone to fire,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. That's what I'm asking, because some of us don't know.
Well, that's why I
We
say it
just
depends. It's regional. If you're in California, wildfires or something
wildfire. Yes.
that happen all the time, and you're going
Right.
to have that type of insurance,
Okay.
I typically like to do what I like to do when I'm helping my buyers is ask the seller.
Hmm.
It's not conventional, but I'll ask the seller, "Hey, what sort of insurances do you carry?"
Okay.
Or I'll ask the
Okay.
agent to ask the seller,
Okay.
"Hey, what sort of insurance? What are you currently paying now for HOA?
Yeah.
Do you currently have a flood zone?" Because this is preliminary, and as a
Right.
buyer,
Right.
you're going to sign a disclosure. It's a flood disclosure that you're going to sign that the seller sells that says, "Hey, this property isn't a flood zone
Yeah.
or it's not." So you'll know those type of things.
Right.
Typically, you'll find the zoning issues when you're getting into commercial property. So
Mm.
that is where you don't see the work that the agent is doing.
Right.
And I know that's not the topic for
Right. Right.
this
Right. Right. Right.
discussion, but the zoning issues are or the zoning opportunities even may be in commercial. You can see a property and it's zoned a certain thing.
Hmm.
That's where we're down at the courthouse. The stuff you guys don't see, this is
Right.
why we get paid,
Right.
is trying to see what rezoning or what potential, the highest and best use we can find for a particular property.
Okay. So, I guess the reason why I'm asking is, let's say I purchase a home.
Mhm.
2 years from now,
Okay.
I decided not to stay in the home, but I don't want to sell it. I want
Okay.
to move somewhere else. I want to purchase another home, but I want to use that as a rental property. So there may be regulation that, I cannot rent that home out.
If there are certain restrictions for the neighborhood, because
Right.
usually that's an HOA issue. Sometimes cities or counties may have ordinances
Right.
that prohibit certain types of rentals,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't necessarily see um, you being able to not rent your property normally
Mm-hmm.
in just in any county in South Florida that you normally have.
So sorry to cut you off. So, there are certain communities, right, where there's a lot of Airbnbs,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna go there.
people
That's what
are.
I was gonna. Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
absolutely.
Go ahead, then.
No, absolutely. Airbnb is something that where the ordinances really came in
Okay.
is for properties like that. So people who
Right.
are doing Airbnbs, they have restrictions now. If you go to your local,
Law
city
enforcement,
council,
state
yeah,
council.
your
Right.
city
Right.
council
Right. Right.
meetings, those type of things, where you'd be knowing, where you would know, what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That would tell you whether you're able to do that. And I'm not sure if Airbnb helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of tell you, but I know that's something that we would look into because
Right.
if you're going to make a large investment into a $500,000 home,
Mm-hmm.
which is standard these days now, it's like the standard
Right.
home
So what they're
nowadays. You
saying
want
is
to know.
some communities are going to council meetings
Yeah,
and requesting, certain type of regulation in certain communities,
yeah,
although they don't have HOAs, saying, well, it's too much noise,
hmm
some of our neighbors are renting out their homes and it causing problems in the
yeah,
community, or bringing the value of the community down.
yeah.
And they said, we don't want that. So, and they start passing these regulations
Well, that's
where
a
you
decision
can't
made.
rent anymore.
That's a decision made by the people of the community, and that's
Right,
okay.
right,
And
right.
that's okay. It may affect one or two or three buyers, but that was something that we would want to know. I would dig into that
You were digging
information
into that.
to kind of
See,
help
that's the
you
thing,
make that.
though. And again, there's just so much, to buying a home, questions.
Yeah,
And because we're so happy at times, we want that home,
yeah,
or
hmm
it's our first home or whatever it may be, and we don't get to ask these questions.
yeah.
So, let's say these type of instances, right, where you're in a community, um, you rent it out,
Mhm.
Airbnb, and values coming down, right? So,
Well, not necessarily values coming down. The quality of life for your neighbors may, but it may not necessarily because real estate is it just is. It's proximity, it's
okay.
location. So if you're in a desired location, I can't see think of it this way. I can't see a penthouse condo on South Beach
Mm-hmm.
being devalued, the condo beneath it or next to it being devalued
Uh-huh.
because one is an Airbnb. I'm trying to make an
Well,
extreme example to
well,
kind of
here's what I'm saying.
give you the
So,
idea.
think about it. So, if everyone, starts moving, I understand it can't really devalue it, um, to how do we say it?
No, I get you.
That much.
I
But,
think you leaned into it.
right.
You leaned
So,
into it.
the thing is, I live in this community, and my neighbor decided to sell, so he moved. So you come in, and you use that as an investment property where you start renting it out.
Hmm.
And I'm like, then my neighbor said, wait. They're renting it out. We have people coming in and out. The community is not what it used to be. So they start selling.
That can cause,
So
yes.
so they start selling.
That makes sense. Yes.
So I want to sell now. You understand?
Hmm.
But I'm not getting the same value because everyone else is selling.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
I would also advise you, and mind you, I just put my realtor hat on,
uh-huh.
is when you see a lot of signs in the neighborhood, there are signs. You got to think about that.
Hmm.
So it's like you're going to say, man, there's a lot of property in this neighborhood. You may want to dig into what that is.
Okay.
There's got to be something. There's like
There
where
has
there's
to be a
smoke,
reason
there's
why.
where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Wow.
I mean, it may be for a number of different reasons, but that it's something that you would maybe want to look into.
Okay. So do if I buy a home, do I have to also look at the resale value of the home for the next 5 years, or
No,
don't do that?
when you're buying a home, you're buying a home
You're buying a home.
for your wants and your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Okay.
A benefit of that is appreciation, which typically happens in South Florida. We're typically appreciating at 4% a year. So great. And I'm
Okay.
using, a nice average number.
Okay.
And you can tell from the history of real estate that, it typically goes up. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
guarantee, but it's just you can only look back to see what the future is going to hold, right?
Okay.
Because I don't have that crystal ball. Wish I did. But I do, but I don't have the crystal ball. But when you're buying your primary home, this is not investment property, so you got to really segment
Right,
that. When
right,
you're
right,
talking about your primary home,
right,
there is no exit strategy. Typically, people would stay, for the 7 to 10 years
right.
in your primary home, and typically you would have a benefit, but that's not something you're looking into.
Mm. So let's talk about maintenance. You
You know,
purchase a home,
yes.
and now some people rather rent than purchasing a home because of everything that comes with a home.
Hmm.
Like your roof is leaking, um, uh, like your electricals doesn't work, your HVAC, all that stuff, right? But all that stuff doesn't happen all at once.
It can.
Is it?
It can.
Okay,
If you're
so
buying those fixer uppers, yes, it
so
can.
so so talk to me about maintenance. What we, or someone who's in the market, who wants a home, what they should be looking for, or what they should expect when it comes to having a home. And I know, of course, the bigger the home is, the more.
Yeah, the more opportunity for some of
That's
events
right. So
to happen.
so what would you
It
advise someone to?
Once again, it would be knowing your financial situation. Some people aren't ready to buy or they don't want to because they don't want to deal with it, right?
Right,
It's your needs and your wants. If you're
right.
saying, hey, I just want to, I work, I just want to make sure I pay my rent. I love the fact that I can call my landlord and everything is fixed,
Yes,
and that makes me the happiest person
that's
in the
right.
world.
That's right.
Then that's your candidate. And
Yeah.
mind you, it may change at that point. My job is not to convince you to do one or the other.
Right.
My job is to help you where you are today. And
Mm.
it may change
It may change.
because
Right.
your family size may grow and you're
That's
like,
right.
man, I think I
Yeah.
got kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you start to worry about the neighborhood because you're saying, oh, I want to be around this school because I really want my kids to go to this
Right. Right.
school. That's where those conversations internally happen.
Yeah.
And it's my job to get that out,
Yeah.
right? So I can to help you make the best decision.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, and some people actually rent because they have other investments. They choose not to invest in real estate
Yeah.
because they want to do, they have stocks, bonds, different types of
Right.
things that
Right.
they do,
Yeah.
and they love that income.
Yeah.
But when you're buying a home, you need reserves, which is why banks
Mm.
ask you to have reserves because they know that emergencies come.
Right.
When you're buying a home, some people are scraping every dollar together to purchase the home.
Mm.
And when you finally close,
It
the I'm
starts.
gonna tell you what happens with the real estate gods. So it's like
The real estate
the real
gods.
estate gods. So the real estate gods, every time you close, something is going to break.
So who are they?
Hmm?
Who are the real estate gods?
The real estate gods are the ones that bring the trouble right after you buy. That's when you notice the AC didn't blow as cold as it was the day before when you walked through the house.
Wow.
But that's when you know you're a homeowner, right?
Right.
You're gonna
Right.
have these challenges that are coming in, and I say it in jest, guys.
Right.
But essentially, that's those are the things that are gonna come up, and banks typically want to know that you have enough reserves to pay your
Make
mortgage
right.
in the
Right.
event of
And
an emergency, right?
yeah.
So they ask for 6, 12, whatever amount of months
Yeah.
that you would have for reserve, but maintenance is part of it that
Yeah.
most people don't factor in. You got to have a savings if you have a home, because
Hmm.
inevitably something is going to happen. Even in brand new homes, I've seen I don't know, did nationally, even for the new builds,
Right.
people buy homes and there's always something. They're like, oh, the base, we had to replace this or we had to
Mm-hmm.
do that because it's just, these are builders or,
Right. Right.
something wasn't built up to code or up to
Yeah.
par,
Mm-hmm.
even with newer homes. So there's always something, or you're going to just your taste. Oh, I bought it for this closet and something's got to change.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
taking money to kind
Right.
of fit
Right.
your
Yep.
lifestyle,
Yep. Yep. You're
especially when
right.
you're retrofitting a home.
That's right. No, I think it's very important, man. If you purchase a home, you need to have reserves because you just never know when something's gonna happen.
You must have reserves. Think about that when you're buying, because once again, home buying is an emotional decision, right?
Absolutely.
You really want
Absolutely.
it. When you
Yeah.
want it, it's like, man, I
Yeah.
just have to get it,
I
and you
do
get
have to
tunnel
get it.
vision. You want to see it,
Yeah.
but I think good agents and good conversation with family will kind of help you to understand that, and that's what lenders do. Lenders are going to ask, hey, what sort of savings do you have? That's an important part of the qualification process,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
it's not just is my credit good or is my income good? Assets. How much are you going to have left over after we do this? Is
Right.
I think I mentioned it's a very big thing.
Right. So, if I purchase a home today,
Mhm.
how long can I wait before I refi?
Technically,
Uh-huh.
you can refinance the next day.
The next day.
Yes, technically,
So
you
you
can,
saying
as
there's
long as it
equity
makes,
on a home
as long as there's, yes, as long as
as long as there's equity.
and it makes sense. Do you want to pay another set of closing fees? Because refinance, we say it like it's easy, because it's like you just refinance. It's not as easy as that.
So talk to me about refinance. What's the process behind it?
A refinance is essentially a remortgage. I'm getting a new mortgage on to remove my old one. But the process to refinance is qualifying the home, just making sure it does have enough equity.
Hmm.
You alluded to that. You want to make sure that there's enough equity to do it. Typically, banks are going to refinance you at 80% of the loan's value.
Okay.
So, or the value the loan to the value of the home.
Okay.
So if your house is, 300,000, we're gonna refinance you for up to 260 if you
Okay.
had, no mortgage, 260,000 or
Mm.
240,000. Sorry, my math was wrong. So you want to have 20% equity, typically, is
Okay.
what they'll want to see.
Yeah.
Certain loan programs will let you go higher, but for the most part, the rule of thumb. I'm going to go with the rule of thumb 80.
Mm.
But the process typically is just qualifying you. We're going to credit qualify you. We're going to income qualify you to make sure you're still, able to repay, because
Hmm.
the biggest thing with lending is the ability to repay.
Okay.
So as long as you're strong enough to do that
Okay.
and it makes sense. The reason why I keep saying it makes sense is I'm not going to refinance BJ who has a 6% mortgage for a 6.5% mortgage. Why am I doing that? Unless there's a need. It has to
Right.
make
Right. Right.
sense,
You're
right?
right. I
My
got you.
kids are going to college. I got to consolidate debt. I got to,
Right.
whatever it may be. And that's what a lot of people are holding on to now is the 3% mortgage,
Mm.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
you got, you may have, financial difficulty on one side
Yeah.
and to get back
Get back
into
on your feet.
a situation. That's why I
Right.
said it typically has to make sense. I don't throw the refinance word out there too many times. I'm typically mostly helping people find homes.
So what's the difference between refinance and ELOC?
HELOCs on an application will say refinance, but it's typically an additional mortgage that
Okay.
you're adding to your property, assuming you have a first mortgage.
Uh-huh.
You can do a HELOC if your house is free and clear. You can do a home equity line of credit, and that be the loan on your
On your
property.
property.
Yes, and you can use
Okay.
it as you see fit. So it's
Hmm.
an access loan, almost like a credit card. You
Right.
can draw against it, you can pay
Yeah.
it down, you can draw against it,
Okay.
or if you leave it out there, it's just you're making your monthly payments. But a HELOC or a home equity line of credit is something that would typically go secondarily because most people have a first mortgage, or half of America, because I think half properties are paid off.
Have, yeah.
Um, but if you have a mortgage, you're typically putting it behind your first mortgage. So if I owe 100,000 on my first mortgage,
Right.
I can do 100,000 depending on the value of the home
The home, right.
on the second mortgage, and that would just be access for me to use and deploy as I see fit, or for
Mm.
emergencies, or whatever ideas you may have. You want to start a business or a podcast,
Right.
you want to build your own podcast studio, you could do
So
something like
which one
that.
is more expensive when it comes to rates?
Well,
Or is it depends?
it always depends. I say depends a lot because it just does. Home equity lines of credit, obviously, it's going to depend on your credit, depending on how much you're borrowing, the loan to value
Okay.
of the home. So how
Right.
much you're borrowing relative to the value, the
Uh-huh.
higher you go, the more
Uh-huh.
risk to the bank. You're taking
Right.
more. Or if your credit is insufficient, um, Those are
So,
typically the two
s-
things, but home equity lines of credit are
uh-huh.
typically cheaper products
Okay.
to borrow
Mm-hmm.
with. They're
Right.
quick, they're cheap, they're fairly easy to do,
Mm.
especially in today's environment with the technology the way it is. You can do one very, very, very quickly, and a lot of times even without an appraisal, depending on how much you're
Mm.
borrowing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if I have a home and I do not want to refinance, can I do a hard money loan on my property? Would they do it?
Well, the rule of thumb is hard money loans are going to be business purpose loans.
So they wouldn't give it to me.
No, a hard money, maybe a private lender who's going to lend, or like the seller would finance you if you were purchasing. But hard money loans are typically going to be business purpose, which means you're not occupying the property. But you can always find an auntie and uncle or somebody who wants to invest and just give you money, and that's fine,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can, if you wanted to help me buy my first home, and you had $500,000 laying around, and you're like, "Hey, Alan, I'll give you a mortgage because I'd love to do that." It's
Mm-hmm.
not considered hard money. That's just
Right.
you being my mortgage company for
Gotcha.
me in that time.
Right. So something that I want to run by you.
Hmm.
So right now in Broward County, right, as of May 2026,
Hmm.
there's approximately 7,200 to 75 homes for sale.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Okay.
That's a lot of homes. And the thing is, most of these homes, right, have been in the market for over 60 days and some 85 days.
Okay.
Why?
Back to my question. How many of them are condos? How many of them are townhomes? And how many of them, and mind you, 7,500 does sound like a very hard number, but you got to take into the factor of the demand that's coming to the region. There's a demand here because we have major corporations that are moving here, and we have a huge demand of people that are coming that are going to fill those gaps, and that's been happening over the last couple of years. But when you say 7,500 homes, it depends on the type of homes. It that that
So, sorry to, well,
No,
I just
come
wanna,
on, come on.
so here's what it says, right? It says home priced under 400,000. So I remember you talk about condos
Yes.
earlier, right? So it says that condos sells faster, approximately, 45 to 55 days after they put on the market. So it says that, it sells a bit faster than the, which you mentioned earlier, like anything over $1 million,
Yeah.
will take a little bit longer. So, it says the 600 to a mil sits 60 to 90 days.
600 to a mil could be 60 to 90 days.
Right.
Well, that's the middle market. Over a million, I think, is selling faster. And mind you, this is just my experience from what I'm seeing.
Okay.
The condo market, yes, condos may sell in 55 days because that's the affordable housing, so to speak. If you can
Right,
find,
right, right,
a property,
right.
but it doesn't mean that the
Because here's another thing. It says that luxury homes, so which let's just say
mhm,
1.5-ish and up,
mhm.
um, 180 plus days, which is, 6 plus months. So the reason why I'm saying this is we have a lot of these homes. There's so many homes. Even if the homes are 400,000,
Mhm.
500, you know, $1 million. The thing is, the economy is just not, good enough, or not. People are just not spending right now.
Yeah.
People are afraid, and I think that's the reason why we have so many homes.
Okay.
And when we talk about Broward County, right, we have
Mhm.
7,500 homes. Brother, it's every day that I get notifications, from Zillow or Redfin, that, three, four, five, six homes. That's what I'm getting. It could be more,
Yeah.
on a daily basis, right? So the people selling their homes are, it's constant. They're constantly putting these homes out there for sale. And I believe the reason why some people are selling is because, the jobs, they lose their jobs.
Hmm.
Um, the Yeah, everything has gotten expensive, and they just want to get out of these homes. And of course, one of the things that we didn't think about, do you know how many people in Broward County who just lost their jobs from Spirit Airline?
I do.
And that affected a lot of people.
17,000 people. So yes, that's a
So that
lot.
means
That's a lot.
people are selling homes and they cannot afford, because let's just say someone was already working for Spirit
Hmm.
and they were behind on their mortgage.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse.
I don't know about that. And
Is that right?
no, because typically when you say this, there's two sides to every coin. Now,
Okay.
you say we have a lot of homes, and that can sound very sensational. And I think we talked about this offline. Think about it.
Uh-huh.
What happened in 2008 when we had a lot of homes on the
Well,
market? What happened? Just
well, the
simple point blank paper.
what when you said what happened is, you had those the bigger institutions that comes in and did a mass purchase. People were buying. People like us were buying,
No. Well, in
or the
2008, now,
economy,
look,
or the
I'm
government.
gonna tell you what happened in
Uh-huh.
2008. In 2008, nobody wanted to buy. You can buy a house for
Dirt cheap.
virtually
Right.
for dirt cheap,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
demand went away and there was a glut of property,
Right.
right? Today, you just said it. You said there's a lot of property on the market, right?
Right.
If there's a lot of property on the market, what's happening with prices? Why aren't they going? And we have higher interest rates. Why aren't they going anywhere? Because pent up demand. That's what I mean, pent up. So there's a demand that's still there to purchase, and there's still a market for these things. Sellers may be giving concessions, but nobody's giving away the bank.
So you say
The
you're saying the reason why people are selling is because there's a demand.
You can only sell if there's a demand. There's a transaction only happens if I find a buyer. And mind you, in South Florida, I'm not
Hmm.
going to speak for the country.
Okay.
Transactions are still happening. I'm still in business because people are still transacting.
Okay.
And there are way bigger and better agents that are doing a lot of business
Okay.
and have yet to find a second job. So some of this data, I believe, yes, albeit true.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to say it's not true
Right. Right.
because it's not.
Right.
But we have to look at it relative to what's actually happening on the street,
Okay.
is what I'm trying to get you to at least see or feel. Because
Right.
there's a way to look at it.
Hmm.
Um, like I have one buyer, and mind you, you can also look at, you said investors too, because you said Wall Street, but that's
Right.
now. We've had an issue where legislation is where the big institutions, the Black Rocks, the State Streets, the
Right.
Citadels have been coming and buying all of our properties in
Right.
tranches.
Yeah.
That helped to break the market a little bit as well because they're looking for yield.
Right.
They still own these properties, but now we're trying to see if we can get them to not hold as long, so they have to sell or not be able to buy. So it can, and we, pent up demand, can
Mhm.
now enter into the market and start to buy these properties. There's
I, I
opportunity with
I
higher
I
rates.
understand your logic. I understand your explanation, and so what I'm trying to get at is, if the demand is there, um, there may be a demand. However, these homes, they still get to sit there for a long period of time. Not only they get to sit there for a long period of time, let's say 60 to 80,
60 to 90 days, yeah,
120.
120
Right.
days. Okay.
And so then when these homes don't sell, my thing is, if there's a demand, why is it that there's always a price cut, right? Because these homes are sitting there, they're not selling, there's a
Or
price cut. And I
concessions.
think people wants,
Absolutely.
I think,
Absolutely.
I think, yes, I, I agree with you. People wants to buy,
Hmm.
but I think that because of the way the economy is, a lot of people are reluctant to buy, and a lot of people are putting these homes out there because they lost their jobs.
Well, then, yeah,
And
that's not going to be the market for you if that's the case. But what I will tell you is, now would be the opportunity.
mm,
And I think the title of your podcast is this the right time to buy, right?
right,
And it's the toughest time. Those who are financially sound in a
it's
time
the
like this,
toughest time.
it's during the toughest time. Like, think
Gotcha.
about it. When the rate doesn't look so attractive, and mind you, it's very hard to try to convince somebody of that
Yeah.
because you're looking at a payment and you're looking at a mortgage, mind you, because
Hmm.
prices are still high.
Right.
But if you can afford it, I think there's no better time to buy
Mm.
than now.
See, I
You,
think you took the bait. I think what I wanted you to say is, it is the right time to buy, and you did say that,
Oh,
and you're
no, no, but
see,
I think it is. Look,
yeah,
all right. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's go back to 2008 when it was tragic and a bunch of properties
right,
values dropped.
right.
Do you think anybody from 2008 till now is kicking themselves in the butt for buying a property?
No, of course not.
And what has real estate done since that?
It's just expanded.
It's in, and then you have obviously the COVID.
Right.
And even if you thought they were crazy and
Yeah.
you're like, man, I can't
Right.
believe you guys bought a
Right.
house. Yeah, you got a 3%
Yeah.
mortgage, but where are you going to go? But
I,
I know appreciation has happened in
yeah.
the last 5 years tremendously, like
Right.
actually at
Right.
a much more accelerated rate.
Right.
Now, what do you think will happen if rates get back down to 6%, 5.5%? What do you
Mm.
think's going to happen, BJ?
We're gonna have a
I don't
but.
have the crystal ball. I just
I,
just tell me what you think's going to happen.
I don't know. I
Because
don't
prices
know.
aren't going down. Not in South Florida. I don't know what's going to happen in Alabama,
It's
but in
just,
South Florida,
yeah.
what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. No one will be able to afford a home.
No, prices are going to go down. They're
The,
going to. They're
the
going to
reason,
enter the
do
market.
you know why I said that? Is because those bigger companies are gonna come and scoop up.
No, they've already done that.
Well, remember, Redfin.
Mhm.
I can't remember if it's Redfin or another company that says that they're not buying anymore.
Yeah.
They're not buying because they made a lot of investment and people are not buying their homes. So now what they're trying to do is come back and see how they can restructure the market, right? So if they restructure, they'll be able to come in and scoop up a whole lot more homes. I believe that when it comes to the bigger institutions, what they tend to do is they find a way to
Well,
bring the market down and then, buy all these homes.
so you feel like they manipulate the
They
market so they can
manipulate
do
the
it.
market. I mean, as a real estate agent, I would assume that, um, you would see stuff like that. I don't know, but I would assume that I'm assuming that's what
We're not. What the
happens.
fact of the matter is, we're not. They've bought a glutton of properties already in
Uh-huh.
our economy over the
Right.
last couple of years. I don't have that data on me, but I'm sure you can pull it up really,
Right,
really
right, right,
quick.
right.
Just look at what large institutions that are hedge funds that are, buying properties. They've bought most of our Invitation Homes. You ever heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big institutions. They just call it Invitation Homes, but that's
Invitation homes.
like
Yeah.
BlackRock or one of
Yeah.
them. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
They're making money off, it's 100% return. Conversely, and I know I'm segueing, but conversely, if you're renting, that's 100% interest rate. You're
Yeah.
worried about a
Yeah.
7%
Yeah. Yeah.
interest rate. If you're
Yeah. Yeah.
renting, you're
Yeah.
paying
It is.
100%. So it just
Yeah. It
depends
is.
on
It is.
how you want to see it.
It is. It is.
But
So,
go.
but do you think it'll get lower?
No. And mind you, prices have been. You said it. You said you've been seeing some market correction,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is normal because obviously if you have a swing like we just had
Right.
during COVID and up until this time,
Hmm.
yes, things can level off, but I don't see properties going back to 100,000 for a 5 bedroom home. It's just not feasible to see.
No, they're not gonna go to $100,000 because they wouldn't allow us. Well, they would not allow the economy to get this low, or the real estate market. But before it did that, they'll probably just buy everything
Yeah.
and
Well,
hold it.
back to the opportunity that you have as well. That's what I'm saying. If they're doing it, you can as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
If they're mind you, follow the money.
Yeah.
If you want to do that,
So
if
so basically, what you're saying, it is the right time to buy a home.
it's always the right time to buy a home or anything for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
if you are if at the time it's a good decision for you at the time. You can only make the best decision at the time with the information that you have
Mm-hmm.
in the situation that you're in.
Gotcha.
You can't look back, you can't look forward. It's like I'm here, I have, this amount of money, this situation is happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I need this.
Right. Right.
It's like buying any other investment. I think Warren
Gotcha.
Buffett actually says that.
Mm.
Warren Buffett says, look, if it's the right thing for you at that time, I think
It,
that's how he bought Coca-Cola.
yeah. Yeah.
It was the right thing. And mind you, Coca-Cola was a struggling company at the
That's right.
time.
That's
And
right.
he ended up purchasing it.
Yeah.
Why? Because he saw the value, he saw the vision,
Yeah.
and it was just right for him when it
Yeah.
wasn't for anyone else.
That's right.
And it paid
If
off.
it's the right thing. It's the right
You
thing.
can only make it with the information that you have at the time is the best thing that you can
Yeah.
do.
So we digest a lot.
Yes.
So what I would like for you to do for me, I want you to look at through this camera,
This
and if anyone right now is buying a home, I want you to tell them what's the first thing they should do, right?
hmm
And I also want you to tell them how they can actually get in touch with you.
Okay. Well, hello world. Thank you so much for having me on. And I really do appreciate you,
Of
BJ,
course.
for
Of
allowing me
course.
to be here. But if anybody's looking for a home, first step is to contact a realtor like me or a lender like me or someone like me. It doesn't necessarily always have to be me. You just find the person that fits with you. But if anything that I've said resonated with you, please reach out to me. The way to contact me is you can go to www.allanthelender.com or my phone number 305-968-1400. I'd love to have a chat. I'd even steer you in the right direction. Just here to help. That's what I do. Have a
Yeah.
good.
This is our show.
Yes.
Uh, guys, thank you so much for sticking with us. It's a privilege to just have you guys watching. Um, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel.
We'll definitely hit that like button.
Access 1776 on YouTube. The Impact Library on YouTube. The Impact Library on Facebook and Instagram. Please subscribe, like the page, and we'll see you on the next show. Thank you so much. Later.
Thanks for bringing the value, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for being here. Yeah,
Hey.
appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great
That
information.
was good. You got me
Yeah,
outside my box,
I
man.
had to. I had to.
That was good.
Yes, sir. I had to,
That's
man.
good. You know, it's all,
Yeah.
it wasn't as yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
That
I think I can
was
come.
good. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, we got good. It was good
Yes,
dialogue.
sir.
Yeah.
Very good. Had fun.